Hello, another Warhammer video. uh, Another Warhammer video where I update my Warhammer playing games. I, well, uh, I really have one I want to talk about, but I'll talk about I played two matches this past weekend, one against Tyranids and the other against Death Guard. Not Death Watch, Death Guard, because the other one I was saying Death Guard all the time, but it was Death Watch, and I just want to make sure you realize that. So, all right, against the Tyranids, this is the list I brought in, 2,000 points. Kevin Shriek with a pack of 5 Assault Intercessors. A Captain with Apothecary with the Hellblasters, 5 guys. Librarian and Phobos Armor with Infiltrators. The Lieutenant I attached to my Stern Guard unit. I had a squad of Infernus. I brought my Devastators. I used an Eradicator squad, which is 3 guys, just to kind of be able to choose something different. I had a squad of Terminators and, of course, the Vanguard Vets. No Captain or anything. I mean, no Chaplain or anything this time. I'm trying to see, one, because it's hard to find, so just like, you know what, screw it. Maybe I just get something else like a Jump Pack Captain, which I see plenty of, so maybe I'll just do that with the Vanguard Vets, but I'll do something different with the Vanguard Vets. Vehicles, Predator Annihilator, Redemptor Dreadnought, Repulsor, and Stormspeeder Thunderstrike. Total of 45 points. So, but it was fine to have a little bit more. Tyranid wise, I did pretty good. There's a couple things I definitely screwed up on, but it was alright. We've been trying to use the cards and everything more. He had more of a big list with all the stuff that he was playing with. Now, it was the same guy that I played against with the Death Watch. He used Tyranids this time. He also has a Necron army, so maybe do that in the future. But point-wise, I won that 63-38. And that was my 4th game I won in a row, so I felt pretty good about that. But it's interesting that, play Tyranids again. I am 3-1 against Tyranids, that one being that team loss. But it was an interesting kind of... I think with the vehicles I've been bringing to try to handle like a Norm Emissary and the Trandafax and stuff like that, I think I have Tyranids kind of down with kind of how to play them so far. I say so far because it was someone, more maybe who knows what to do stuff would be much more interesting. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I'm fully willing to play Tyranid. I'm going to probably play Tyranids more in the future, and the more times I play, the more fun. So that's not an issue. But the next game I played was against Death Guard, and he wanted to do a 1,000-point list. I'm like, okay. I'll just tell you what I brought. Kevin Shriek with Assault Intercessors, a Lieutenant. I put him with Stern Guard. Group of Infiltrators, Group of Infernus, Devastator, and I brought 2 vehicles, Redemptor Dreadnought and Stormspeeder Thunderstrike. Now, the guy who I versed with Death Guard, he was extremely, extremely smart. Like to a T, and tactical, and knowing like every single thing of rules and stipulations and everything. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. He was an encyclopedia. Probably the most knowledgeable I've seen on the game so far. Not an exaggeration at all. It was just like, wow, this guy knows his stuff. But, oh gosh. What he used, he had like this Walker vehicle, this little small vehicle thing. He had this like land mortar, this mortar vehicle, plague mortar vehicle, and a rhino. And he had he had one group of, the Chaos Space Marines and another group of like Nurglings being led by a leader. And he had one leader that was kind of like on his own that he put in the building to be able to see overhand. I mean, he just kept the mortar on his home objective and just bombed my home objective that I kept the Infernus Marines on. Basically wiped him out in 2 turns. And my Stormspeeder stayed alive for 1 turn, and I was able to knock out that Walker thing that he had, but it it died pretty quick. And the Redemptor, I spent 2 turns not overwatching, oath momenting that guy in the building so he couldn't, do indirect fire into my home objective, and I failed both times. I, Let me tell you, after that first turn, I had to run to the restroom. But after that first turn, I was just like, I texted my family. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to win this game. Because it just was like, I felt very, very outmatched. Just in play skill and everything. Like the guy said he's been playing since ninth. He's played maybe in this edition alone like 50 games. I'm like, wow, this was my, what game was this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Technically my ninth game, period. And he's played like over 50, not including all the stuff he's done in ninth and everything else. He's clearly studied, and he has multiple armies seemingly. And I'm just like, dang. And I was just like, man, I sucked so bad. But what I learned a lot. Like, one, shooting wrong. You can't shoot with rifles and pistols on the same turn. Like, I can shoot things with rifles, but I can't. Why did the bubble appear on screen? What? What? I have no idea what that was. I've never seen that before, so I have no idea what that was. But I learned that you can't do pistols and uh, rifles in the same thing. Which, reading the rule, like just what it says in the in the battle thing, like Stern Guard. I can bring it up real quick. See, pistol. Weapons in the pistol bring the profile known as pistols. If a unit contains any models equipped with pistols, that unit is eligible to shoot in the controlling player's shooting phase, even if it was in engagement range or one or more enemy units. When such an enemy is selected to shoot, it can only resolve attacks using pistol. It can only target one of those enemy units within engagement range. And so circumstances depending, pistol can target an enemy unit even if another friendly blah 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 blah. Unless this monster vehicle either shoot with its pistols or with all its other ranged weapons. So in other words, you can only shoot, one or the other. And I was just like, oh, that whole time I messed up. So that was one thing I've been getting wrong this whole time. So I've been playing wrong on that end with everybody else. Number two, I've been playing wrong with that tactical doctrine where I thought I can pull back and move forward and everything like that. That only applies to the Gladius Task Force, which I thought applied to all detachments of Space Marines, but it doesn't. That is specifically the Gladius detachment. I was using Vanguard, so unless I switch to the Gladius detachment, I can use that type thing, but I would not receive the Vanguard thing of -1 to hit and the stealth combo, the benefit to cover and everything, which is just like, oh, well, that's another thing I've been wrong on, because I've been playing wrong, so I'd either have to, I'll admit I don't like advancing anyway, but so far, but that was another thing I lost out on. So, I mean, as far as point wise, I called it going into round four, because I was basically almost tabled. I had a couple of infiltrators left fighting this thingamajig, this small vehicle, and I had Kevin Shriek nearby. I tried making a charge into it. I failed the charge, and I was just like, the secondaries I had and everything, was like, there's no way, point wise, I'd be able to come back up and win. Just, there's no way. I don't even have the models. Because things about Death Guard is like, yeah, they're moving slowly, but that minus range thing, unless you kill them off, is like, oh yeah, it's -1 to your shooting, -1 to your toughness, -1 to wound. I'm like, goodness. So I see what happens with that. It's like, oh gosh, that sucked. That sucked so bad. So I almost felt like I wanted to cry. I did. Towards the end, a certain moment, I was like, I want to cry right now. I just felt so inadequate. This was the round where I felt so bad trying to play or whatever else like that. Why is this all the way pointing up the top? I felt so bad, just like, man, any confidence I had in me being able to play this game gone. I was like, I feel so bad. I was just outmatched completely. But I watched that hyperspace, video with, Space Marine Steve from Play on Tabletop. He has the hyperspace video thing talking about, how he lost a lot and he decided to adapt a growth mindset type thing. And that's like, you know what? That's what I'm going to hold on to. That's kind of what I thought of, while I was playing the game. Even though I was feeling pretty bad, I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to pick this guy's brain a little bit because he's very knowledgeable and talkative about everything. So I'm not. This is the game I've learned the most so far out of everything. So that's what's useful. One, vehicles. If I have vehicles on the field and they have vehicles, target vehicles first for me. Because if I was trying to target like the Space Marines or something like that, like forget the Space Marines, just focus on the vehicle. I was able to knock one vehicle out, which kind of helped delay things, but focus on the vehicles, you probably do a lot better. As opposed to focusing on the guy in the building, which is what I spent my Redemptor doing for 2 turns. I should have spent it on that nearby vehicle where I could have honestly freaking destroyed that thing sooner if I oath a moment to that and done that. But nope, couldn't do that. I was like, that was stupid of me. So, but that's just what the issue was. But so I learned that and a whole bunch of other profile stuff. But 1,000-point list. I mean, besides the orc guy, because I was trying to help with the orc guy and everything, I'm not really good at building 1,000-point lists. Not yet. Because I do prefer 1,500 to 2,000 point because I'm able to use a lot more models. I like using a lot more things, be able to move them around more, stuff like that. I kind of like that feeling. But a 1,000-point list makes you want to maximize, like you're minimalized in what you can do, but you have to maximize with how much points you can do. Like the squad I had initially, this is what I initially had for a 1,000-point squad. I have 5 squads and 2 vehicles. 5 and 2. The guy who played with the Death Guard thing, he had 2 squads of 10. He had like a 10 like Space Marine, whether it be Terminators or whatever like that, and the other 10 with the Nurglings or whatever like that. But it's just 10 guys. 10. Now I know that doubles the points, but you get more bang for your buck having 10 as opposed to just a 5. So this is another army list for a example. This is what this kind of like what I'm thinking of. Like Kevin Shriek still with an Assault Intercessor, so that'd be him. Librarian and Phobos armor with Infiltrators, a Devastator squad, and a Stern Guard veteran squad. So I knocked out the Infernus completely. Just keeping like down to 4 squads. I could up the Stern Guard to having 10 men, because I do like my Stern Guard, and I can remove the Librarian if I need to, but I want to keep the Librarian. And I could do Redemptor Dreadnought, Storm Spear, Thunderstrike, and try to get an Impulsor, because I did learn, like, you know what, I don't think a Rhino Razorback may necessarily be useful. No, they're useful. Especially when you're on a point limit, they're very useful. And knowing, like, just eating up points and shots and everything like that, it was just like, yeah, dang, that sucks. Plus the self-repair capability of the Rhino is interesting. So even though it's still not enough yet, I still have to decide, like, because if I remove the Librarian, I can get, like, almost another squad of, like, Stern Guard in. But the other thing is that if I remove the Redemptor with a Invictor Tactical Warsuit, which is 140 points, it may not be as strong as the Redemptor, but has a stronger melee option, and plus with its ability, paired with Infiltrator with the Phobos thing, it would be useful on that end. Plus, I'd save 60 points, and that 60 points I could literally use to put towards another squad or something if I wanted, because that technicality. So, I don't know. Building a 1,000-point Raven Guard squad. Like, I've seen something about an Inceptor unit. I know that. How do I maximize what I need for 1,000 points? That is my question. What would be a good I'll talk about that in a moment. Raptor Raven Guard squad of 1,000 points to kind of maximize what I have. Because I still use, bottle caps with the things I don't have yet. Because that's why I was using that captain with the Hellblaster thing and the Tyranid thing, because I wanted to, let me use the captain, because I didn't want to use the chaplain with jump pack with the Vanguard, because it's just kind of like, I like the chaplain ability, it's just kind of like hard to find, so I was like, well, let me use some other stuff. The advantage of using this proxies is because, well, I can kind of play with what I like, and if I like it, then I can go get it. If I don't like it, I'm not going to necessarily get it. like Scout Squad is just kind of like 11 Squad might be a little bit better to have than Scout Squad. But that's just what I'm dealing with. So what I did meet a guy that played Raptors on Saturday when I was playing with the at Hobbytown with the Tyranid. That he was all about the Raptors. He has this thing called like the Thunder Warrior thing, kind of makes him like Vietnam. He was really into the whole Raptor thing. He's like, good to see another Raptor player. I'm like, yeah, nice to good. Why'd you choose him? Like, I chose him because I basically smart Marines. And he was all about the thing. He was so excited, showing me all the artwork he had his buddy make on the phone and everything. This is his first time he ever was at Hobbytown, and he said, seemingly, I was like, oh, cool. But he was super, super stoked. And the other thing about 1,000 point list, Hobbytown, they said, I think when they do tournaments, it has to be 1,000 point list. So how do I maximize what I have? Like, point wise, how much actual points I actually have right now is 1275. What I have is Cavan Shriek. I have that lieutenant that someone gave me from the other Tyranid match, which I should show, but I'll show in the next one for the thumbnail. I ordered the Librarian and Phobos armor because that's going to be something I'm going to definitely need. Assault Intercessors, the Devastators, Infernus, Stern Guard. I have one extra model, so I could bump it up to 600 points if I take the 6th guy, but it's not necessarily worth it with that, so I've been using him as a proxy. I got him for free, for going to the Warhammer thing back in December. A Terminator squad that also a gentleman gave me. They all have Storm Bolters, so I was just like, but hey, at least I have Terminators. The Vanguard, I have Redemptor Dreadnought and the Storm Speeder Thunderstrike. So again, it's like 1275 points. Even out of that list, how do I cut it down to 1,000? Probably remove like Infernus, I guess, or something. But it all really depends. It's just, you got to learn how to build to face your opponent. That's what you got to do. And I just got to do better in that aspect. So, I don't know what else to say, but advice. Advice for all the Space Marine people out there, kind of what to do who play Raven Guard, or what you kind of would do in a 1,000 point list. What are your ideas? I could use that. Alright, so I will see you in the next one for the next battle report. Goodbye.